Hello, everyone. I think you can hear me loud and clear, hopefully. Oh, thank you. So let's make a start because we only have 15 minutes, so I'll try to be as quick as possible. You had some interesting shows today, talking about AI and the ethics and the philosophy behind it, etc., which is a very exciting field, though. However, there are companies like us that we try to find a practical application, an everyday application. And when I talk about us, let's try to understand who we are and what we do. Chances are that all of you today, you already had or you will have at least one transaction with one of our systems. All of you. And when I mean all of you, I don't only mean the ones that here, but in the entire building. And this is going to happen day after day after day, because this is what we build. We build software that makes the Greek businesses run. From very, very small entities, like a single-person company, and that could be an electrician, perhaps, a lawyer, or even the doctor. Talking about small marketplaces, talking about public market also, or all the way up to supermarkets, all the way up to specializing shops where you do kiosks, or you name it. Whatever transaction you do in retail every single day. Most of these companies run with our software. They have our intelligence in their heart. And I have specifically mentioned pharmacies and pharmaceutical warehouses because the technology there is slightly different. There is a lot of the robotics involved and a lot of modernization there. All the way up to the big boys, the big industries, either dealing with energy, petroleum, even the distribution, all the way down to gas stations. So effectively, the entire infrastructure, the business infrastructure of the country. Now, the obvious question comes that, okay, guys, you are exposed almost everywhere, so that means that you have an ocean of data to process. And this is true. This is what we have. And we have two options here. We can either start giving some fancy statistics about what the whereabouts a guy that orders a souvlaki late Friday is also going to take a beer or not. Yeah. However, this is not on our DNA. What it is in our DNA is try to help businesses grow. And the interesting thing in Greece is that we have so many companies at small size that they have to compete. So the first and the obvious question is how we can utilize all this information and how we can help our businesses, our customers. Now, this is a very, very tricky question because, you know, the AI buzz makes you feel like you can do really everything. Honestly, you can do everything. I can grow hair in my head, and I did that. I tried Firefly, I think, from Adobe, and I just upload my image, and I say I want to have hair, and off you go. I end up like Bob Marley singing No Woman No Cry. So, yeah, you can do that. Does it make sense for businesses, though? No, not really. So we have to somehow restrain ourselves, find the right ingredients that realistically help businesses to grow. I can give you a very good example. I think you all remember Google Glasses, right? Brilliant technology. Nothing happened with it because the problem is that that technology had no real business problem to solve. So they had a wonderful technology and they have to invent a problem. In our world, we need to avoid that. We need to be absolutely sure that we understand the needs of a small or medium-sized company and how we can help them with our software. So the first thing, and we all understand that, is limited resources. And that could be limited budget or personnel shortage. However, they still need to compete in a really ruthless environment. So this is the need. We need to find tools. We need to utilize our data. You need to modernize our applications in a way to assist small businesses grow. And we have to do that in a practical way. Yeah, the obvious question is we can give something like a chat GPT, so the businessman can type, what can I do to grow my business? And off you go, you can grow your business. That's not really working. So we need to find a different way. We start our brainstorming process and we end up with 4 specific categories. And I will explain why we pick up those. There are plenty, and if we do the same exercise here, we may end up with another 20. The key thing is practicality. How we can incorporate those ideas and make them a reality for a business. The first thing is the enhanced decision making. We need to find ways to assist small companies take decisions quickly. Is this a practical term? I will give you an example. You know Zara? You know, the fashion. Okay, why they were so successful? I will tell you why. They did something really interesting. The fashion stores, the retail, the way they used to be those days, had seasonality. You walk in the shop, you see whatever they have to offer, and then they change everything for the next season, and the next season, and the next season. What they did in order to differentiate themselves from the rest, utilizing real-time data all the way back, combined with sales preferences, in order to be able to sort that period into a week. So they were able to change the entire supply chain within a week. And that's what makes them giant. Did they manage to do that with AI? No. So that's a little bit of a problem. How did they manage to do that? Brute force. Many people working and analyzing data. So let's put a start there, and I will come back to it. The second thing is improved financial management. So assisting in the financial survival of the company. There is no best example than Starbucks. When they changed the CEO, I think it was 2008, they tried to restructure because they have financial issues. They start making the right financial decisions, not in cost cutting, but smart investment. And they end up the giant that we all know again. That was not with AI, by the way. Again, brute force. Too many people working. Supply chain optimization. That's an interesting thing also, but more or less we discussed this with the Zara example. And the last one is the customer service. And when I'm talking about customer service, I'm not talking about the holy grail personalization or something like that. Remember back, I think it was 2005, Amazon introduced Prime. What was the basic idea behind it? The retail, the online retail, had a long lead from ordering all the way back to receive the goods at your home. They promised 2-day delivery. And that was, groundbreaking at that date. And they managed to succeed that. And then they start enhancing the offering of the two. So with videos, music, books, you name it. You know how Amazon works today, even with a recommendation engine. So these are good and practical examples that worked. The key thing here is that all these use brute force. Now, we have to find a way to use our software and use artificial intelligence in some cases to replicate those and be able to offer them at a different scale and at a separate environment. Is that easy? Is that something that can happen? Well, there is a practical example today that I will urge you to look at it, and that is the HP case, where they did exactly all the 4 terms that I just described, and they managed to do that fully loading with AI. Behind them was Microsoft Dynamics. And the results are amazing. However, we know the problem. We know certain areas that we can provide solutions for it. We know that this has been done in the past. It's all about the scale now. How we can really fit all that knowledge to a small office, home-sized office, or a business that have 5 people or 6 people. How we can provide that knowledge and make it practical. This is what I would like to discuss a little bit today, because that was really surprising for us, and it was a very, very difficult trip. It was what we call a ride in a storm. Surprising results, an extremely difficult thing to do. And here I have some of the ideas and the way, let's say, the blueprint on how we managed to achieve that. First of all, we already discussed that, we had to understand the real problem, possible solutions, and the way to achieve that. The second, though, and most important problem is that we need to find the suitable technology to do it, because there are plenty of different ways of doing it and achieving it. The problem here is that AI requires a lot of knowledge. AI requires data in a very specific format, which is very difficult and time-consuming for a software house to develop quickly. So that means that you have to set up an alliance with a vendor that has a knowledge to keep you going. In our case, we choose Microsoft, and we go with a Copilot. And that's what we try to implement there. The first results were really interesting. What we had to do there is shifting our attention all the time, try to adapt to the results, because there are many, many different things. And this is precisely what I would like to come. Challenges. First of all, cost. It's very, very, very costly to start developing AI within your company. Knowledge, equipment required, data sources required, processes required, means time in some cases, which translates to money in most cases. But the most challenging thing was to provide the ability to our engineering team to really trust the result that came out from their own algorithms. This was the most challenging thing. AI is simple. It's very, very simple to provide results, provides them fast. But remember, the first thing that we learned when we were studying computer engineering, rubbish in, rubbish out. So try to make our workforce really understand and trust what comes out of there was one of the most challenging things. Still working, still challenging the results, still sometimes not believing exactly what we see, and we need to refactoring again. But this is it. This is how it goes. And this is a very interesting journey for all of you. Now, the other interesting thing was culture. When you try to introduce this type of tools out in the market, you need a different workforce that will assist your customer base to adopt the tools. Remember when I start talking about the transition and the journey, I said practicality needs to be practical. Imagine that you're running a very, very small bench at the corner of an open public market. Do you expect that that guy will really use AI to improve business? And if yes, what is going to be practical for him? Do we really need to invest at that area specifically? Those questions come out all the time as soon as you start developing the solutions. And those things sometimes come back and you need to scrap an entire vertical, or you need to leave out a specific business region and so on. So all this is a continuous, endless cycle of trying to understand what we're going to do, be as practical as possible, and having something that makes sense to the market. For us, it's really important, and I think for everybody it's really important, because we run, 85% of the market here. So, software. Obviously, we can handle complex operations, and this is the key for us, and this is where we're aiming at, improving the supply chain on all different sectors and businesses. This is cost saver. Cost saver means money for companies that they can refund and redirect to different things. So this is a number one priority. But the most interesting thing comes when you start integrating other technologies like voice recognition or OCR technologies. Imagine being in a position that you should be able to drive your ERP or CRM systems by simple voice commands everywhere on your, let's take an example, a warehouse. Different corners could offer different functionality by simply positioning yourself and vector analyzing your position there by simple voice instructions. Is it something like, sounds like science fiction? Well, not. It is here. And you have this ability and this power even on your mobile phone. Remember when the world first heard, "Hey Siri," and I hope I didn't wake up your iPhones now, but this is how it goes. And this is natural for us to grow this way. And that will assist also, save time to everybody, because the interaction with such a system this way makes a huge difference. But also, which I'm not going to say too much about it, I will leave it for you to think about it, can play a serious role when we're talking about green, becoming a company becoming green, you know, reducing the carbon footprint, or those type of things. And I'm talking about minimizing waste. And I'm not talking about, you know, because you have OCR, you just scrap the paper. But I'm talking about energy consumption savings using this type of technology. This is where we see things going. This is the journey that we already start. Soon in the market, we will see all our results. So unfortunately, we had only 15 minutes, and that's as much as I can go. So if you have any questions, I will be more happy than answer. Thank you.